The movie begins with a heartbreaking scene. Little Abigail is watching cartoons when the world ends. A global virus outbreak hits, turning people into fast, smart ferals. Her mom calls her dad, a pilot who is stuck far away. He tries to comfort her, showing a bracelet she made him. With tears in his eyes, he promises, "I will keep this forever, and I will come back for you."
Bro, stop. That is the biggest lie in movie history. "I'll be right back" basically guarantees he is never coming back. That is a death flag if I've ever seen one.
Holding on to that hope, the family rushes to the car, but tragedy strikes instantly. A feral tackles the mother. In seconds, she transforms from a loving parent into a monster and tears into her own son. Abigail hides under the car, watching her entire family get destroyed.
Damn, she turned faster than my internet connection. No goodbye speech, just straight to eating her kids? That is cold.
Suddenly, a stranger named Cassius appears. He shoots the mother, pulls Abigail out, and sees her infected brother suffering on the ground. He tells Abigail to cover her ears and puts a bullet in the little boy's head. He saves her life, but her childhood is dead.
Okay, I like this guy. Mom, dead. Brother, dead. Trauma, 100%. He isn't just saving her, he is destroying her mental health in 4K resolution.
10 years later, the world is now a wasteland. Abigail is a grown warrior, raised by Cassius in the wild. During training, they spot a survivor running from zombies. Cassius hands her a sniper rifle for a live test. He whispers, "Relax, breathe, and save the man." Abigail takes a deep breath, aims carefully, and pulls the trigger. But instead of the zombie, she blows the survivor's head clean off.
You had one job, Abigail. He said save him, not delete him. That poor guy survived the apocalypse just to get 360 no-scoped by a rookie.
The man drops dead instantly. It is a complete disaster. But Cassius doesn't even get mad. He walks over to the headless body, takes the dead guy's shoes, and puts them on because his own boots were worn out.
Respect the hustle. The world ended, but the drip is forever. Nice Jordans, bro. You won't be needing these anymore.
Immediately after the sniper fail, cars surround Cassius and Abigail. A group of armed survivors jumps out, guns drawn. They notice Cassius is wearing their dead friend's shoes and immediately assume he's a bandit who murdered him just to steal his kicks. The tension is sky high, and they are about to execute Cassius right there. But Megan, a pregnant woman from the group, steps in. She begs them to stop, screaming that they are all just humans trying to survive.
Wait, so they aren't mad that their friend is headless? They are mad about the shoes? Priorities, people. The apocalypse really messed up everyone's moral compass. You killed him? Meh. You stole his Nikes? Death penalty.
Unfortunately, all this shouting creates too much noise. Suddenly, a massive swarm of ferals screams from the woods. The survivors try to fight back, but they are completely overwhelmed. It is a massacre. The monsters tear through the group one by one.
Amateurs. Has nobody watched A Quiet Place? You scream, you die. It is basic zombie math. Now they are just an Uber Eats delivery for the monsters.
In the chaos, Cassius grabs Abigail, Megan, and her husband David, shoving them into a car to escape. But here's the twist. The leader of the survivor group gets bitten. He turns into a feral instantly. But unlike the mindless ones, he keeps his memories and his rage. He blames Cassius for everything. He roars, marking Cassius as his target, and starts hunting them down with a personal vendetta.
Hold up. Since when do zombies hold grudges? This guy isn't just hungry, he is petty. He is basically a toxic ex-boyfriend, but with rotting skin. I will find you, and I will eat you. Chill out, bro.
Cassius drives like a maniac and manages to lose the horde for now. David tells him they're heading to the colony, a floating town safe from the virus. Cassius thinks it's a fairy tale, but agrees to take them. Just as they think they are safe, their car breaks down in the middle of nowhere.
Of course the car breaks down. It is the law of horror movies. You survive the zombies, you survive the bandits, but you can never survive a bad radiator.
Since the car is dead, the group has to walk. Abigail leads them to an old airfield where her dad used to work, hoping to find the plane. Cassius thinks this is a terrible idea, because after 10 years, no plane should be flyable, and fuel turns into sludge. But Abigail is stubborn.
Cassius is right. Gas expires in like a year. Flying a plane with 10-year-old fuel, that is not a travel plan, that is a suicide pact.
Miraculously, they find the private jet inside a closed garage. It's dusty, but David, the mechanic, says he can fix it. While David works under the hood, Cassius and Abigail keep watch with binoculars. That is when they see it, a massive wave of thousands of pharaohs sprinting toward them. They are minutes away.
Of course, a mechanic, a pilot, and a sniper. This isn't a family, it is a D&D party, conveniently prepared for everything.
David manages to start the engine just as the fence breaks. Abigail jumps into the pilot's seat, trying to remember the lessons her dad gave her as a kid. The plane starts moving down the runway, but the pharaohs are fast. They actually catch up and start clawing at the wings.
Wait, she learned to fly when she was 5? I couldn't even tie my shoes at 5, and she is flying a jet?
Cassius is half hanging out of the open door, kicking zombies in the face and shooting them point blank. Finally, the plane lifts off, leaving the monsters behind. The survivors scream in relief, but not for long. Smoke starts pouring out of the engine.
And there it is. No service, no oil change. What did you expect? It's Spirit Airlines Apocalypse Edition.
The plane stalls mid-air. Cassius grabs the controls and forces the plane to crash land into the treetops to soften the impact. The screen goes black. They survive the crash with just a few scratches, but the plane is total. The group survives the crash and walks for 2 days until they find something impossible: a perfect farmhouse with electricity and no zombies around.
A perfect house in the apocalypse? That is not luck, that is a trap. I would rather sleep in a tree.
A voice over a speaker tells them to drop their weapons. They comply and enter to meet the owner, a scientist. He seems nice, welcoming them with a hot meal. They literally cry while eating because they haven't seen real food in years.
Never trust a guy who has electricity when the world has ended. He is definitely hiding bodies in the basement.
But during dinner, things get weird. The scientist starts ranting that the virus isn't a disease, but human evolution. He claims it killed the weak and made the strong immortal. Before they can react, they start feeling dizzy. He drugged the food.
Virus is evolution? Okay, Thanos, we get it, you're crazy. Can we skip to the part where we escape?
They wake up tied to chairs in a basement. The scientist reveals his true experiment. He has kept his infected wife chained up. He has developed a device that controls the pharaohs, making them obey him. He wants to turn everyone into zombies so he can rule the world as a god. He releases his zombie wife to eat Cassius first.
He kept his zombie wife? That is not love, that is a serious attachment issue. Someone get this man a therapist, not a lab.
The zombie wife lunges at Cassius, ready to tear his throat out. But suddenly, David, who was tied up, snaps his ropes like they are made of paper.
Wait, how? He's a mechanic, not the Hulk. Since when does he have superpowers?
You are right. A normal human couldn't do that. But David isn't normal anymore. He reveals his veins are turning black. He is infected. But instead of turning into a monster immediately, he uses that viral strength to rip the zombie wife's head off. The scientist, realizing his pet is dead, runs away screaming.
Look at him run. For a guy who talks about evolution, he sure runs away fast when things get real.
Coward is an understatement. They steal the scientist's truck and escape, but the madman isn't done. He uses his device to call every feral in the area to chase them. The truck hits a dead end at the forest edge, and they are forced to run on foot. But David stops. He can feel the virus taking over his brain. He looks at Megan and says, "Go. Save our baby."
No. Don't do the noble sacrifice thing. Just get in the boat, David.
He isn't trying to be a hero, Clip. He's a father. He pushes them away and charges into the horde alone. He fights like a demon, tearing pharaohs apart with his bare hands, buying his wife the few precious minutes she needs to reach the river. Verse. David's sacrifice works. The survivors reach the riverbank, where a boat picks them up and takes them to the colony, a fortress made of giant ships tied together. It looks like paradise.
Finally, a floating castle? No zombies allowed?
Don't get comfortable, Clip. Megan gives birth to a healthy baby girl, but she dies shortly after due to blood loss. Abigail barely has time to grieve before the alarm screams. The mad scientist has found them, and he brought the alpha pharaoh with him.
He followed them to the ocean? What is he gonna do? Ask the zombies to doggy paddle? Zombies can't swim.
Oh, they can do a lot more than swim. The scientist uses his device to command the alpha to jump into the water. Following his lead, thousands of pharaohs dive in, swimming toward the ships like torpedoes. The colony is breached.
They are swimming? Great. Now nowhere is safe. We need to move to the moon.
But that is not the worst part. Amidst the slaughter, Abigail gets cornered by the alpha zombie. He is faster and stronger than the rest. He grabs her, ready to bite, but Abigail freezes. She sees a dirty, woven bracelet on his wrist.
No way. The bracelet? That's her dad? The pilot? Bro, the universe really hates this girl.
Exactly. It is the cruelest twist possible. The alpha is her father. He kept his promise to keep it forever, even after turning into a monster. Abigail hesitates, crying, but Cassius yells at her to shoot. She realizes her dad is long gone. She pulls the trigger, killing the only family she had left.
Damn, she killed her mom, her brother, and now her dad? That is a family wipeout. This therapy bill is gonna be expensive.
It had to be done. They run to the escape tunnel. Her friend detonates the explosives, blowing the entire colony and the scientists to hell. Cassius, Abigail, and the baby escape to a remote island, finally safe, but at a heavy cost.